Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Uwcsea 50th Forum. We're very glad to have you in this session today. My name is Anthony Shen, and I'm currently a grade 12 student at East Campus. Because this is a pre-recorded video, feel free to type up any of your questions in the chat here. We will be free to answer them for the entire duration of this session. We also have an optional networking session immediately after this presentation if you would like to ask further questions to us face-to-face.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first optional session for today. Thank you for your interest in potential of maths education. My name is Tippi, a maths teacher in high school, and we are here to share our ideas and our experiment of reimagining maths education at the East Campus over the past year.
Before we continue, we would just like to emphasize that we are just two representatives of a community of math enthusiasts and math lovers at East, including our student leaders here, Uditi, Junsuk, Arunav, and Anbei, who have supported our experiment in reimagining maths education over the past year.
So, Anthony, our student leaders have been contributing to organizing learn and lead extracurriculums for maths-related activities for years. What might be some inspiration for them to see the necessity to reimagine maths education?
Yes. So I think when we interviewed Dr. Ayasha, who is an industry expert in AI, but also heavily involved in educational initiatives with the Singapore government, as well as her social enterprises, she said the following quote: "When I grew up, there was only one answer in maths and one answer in science. And it was only when I went to college and met students from Eastern Europe that showed me to look at science and maths as poetry, as a way to investigate the truth, as a way to approximate the truth, and as a way to experiment." We felt that this statement lies at the heart of why we felt that the traditional way of mathematics enrichment, a series of progressively higher stakes-based, exam-based competitions, might be lacking in some respects. Think of the progression of high school mathematics achievement in the United States. Starts off with American mathematics competition, then the invitational exam, then the Olympiad, followed by what is currently the most prestigious recognition of mathematics achievement a high schooler can get right now, which is to participate and win a medal at the International Mathematical Olympiad, or the IMO.
Thank you, Anthony. Although we have worked collaboratively on providing maths activities outside of academic class for extra stretching for maths lovers, limitation, of course, could lie in the singularity of the format, like you said, one answer or multiple answers, but doesn't change the fact that the answers were designed and to be solvable. So what might be some different approaches that worth exploring?
Yes, so Tippi and I wanted to run an experimental program that was designed to encourage an alternative path for mathematical exploration, one that was interdisciplinary in nature, one that was project-based, and one that was student-driven. So with this interdisciplinary, that will encourage students to see the connections between the abstract mathematics and the other subject areas. And it will also encourage more freedom and organic motivation as to where the students wanted to take their exploration.
With my 8 years teaching experience here, I know that our maths department has always been interested in alternative approaches that might attract different types of learners from a diverse background, such as integrating the UWC missions and values into our academic program. Also, I have noticed that our campus has built up the Innovation at East Hub, which has provided potential for our students to apply mathematics innovatively for investigations in science and technology. And taking the opportunity of the 50th anniversary of Uwcsea, we had the chance to apply for an innovation grant for some experimental program. What were the goals that you have presented to get this grant approved?
Yes, so in the beginning, we had two goals that we set for ourselves 12 months ago when we started this journey. One was to encourage the personal growth of students in both their capabilities as a mathematician and also a learner in general, as well as to reflect our mission competencies. Linking it to the Uwcsea educational philosophy, we wanted to make mathematics enrichment, which falls under the activities element of the 5-element program, which you can see here, to be both disciplinary and interdisciplinary, to be experiential in nature, as well as to encourage the development of transferable skills of our members. Basically, we had boiled our project into 3 fundamental questions. The first one is, how can we show students that mathematics is a fundamentally open-ended endeavor? The second is, how can we make our mathematics enrichment a more welcoming and inclusive environment for all? And the third one is, how can we make our students realize the intricate connections between mathematics and the wider world around them?
So with these goals in mind, we set out to develop Project Zero, an extracurricular mathematical enrichment program funded by the 50th Anniversary Innovation Grant. Unlike a traditional activity, which is very much a linear progression following a set path by either a teacher or a student leader, all of the student groups in our programs independently develop and evolve their projects from start to finish.
Presentation about mathematics without some numbers. There were some 93 students who applied, comprising of 27 groups in total, to be part of Project Zero, of which we selected 21 students and 5 projects. Working with our 6 student leaders, 11 community members comprising of industry professionals, alumni, and on-campus staff. And after 9 months of project work and 103 supporting meetings from our student leaders with the project groups, here we are today.
Maybe it's time for us to share more details of the experiment to let our guests have some concrete ideas of what we are actually doing. We have a project that is focused on the global concern of optimal social distancing during the time of pandemic. Our students have looked into a graphic design of static scenarios such as theater and restaurants, as well as simulation of the dynamic scenarios such as shopping malls and active classrooms. They are currently extending their simulation from 2-dimensional measure to a 3-dimensional ones.
Another one of the group prototyped, developed, 3D printed, and assembled a low-cost EEG detecting device. The mathematics involved included a fast Fourier transform to break down the data into different frequency ranges, which they then tested against variables such as resting, reading, and watching a video. They are now looking at developing a potential collaboration with our local service partner, Apex Harmony Lodge, to look at the effects of music on brain activity of dementia patients.
We have a project that is looking at daily life issues, such as traffic jam before and after school hours, which is a great direction to practice problem solving with mathematics, especially when this topic could have gone all the way up to a PhD level thesis. Our candidates have done observation on the key corner around the campus. After identifying the cause of traffic jam, they look into different AI algorithms to detect cars that change in name inappropriately. Though being in grade 9, they have managed to detect car counts from video collected and make very insightful data analysis.
Now, don't get misled into thinking that all our projects are STEM-based. And this project group here looked at whether group diversity, as measured by personality, leadership traits, and gender, have an effect on group performance as a whole. What is to be commended about the journey is that they use several different approaches to looking at the core problem of whether more diverse teams are better teams, such as through a computerized simulation. You can see an animation of what they coded up here, interviews with different groups around the school, as well as a randomized psychology experiment on over 200 students, where they tested 3 different methods of group organization on an average score they achieved on a set of different tasks.
Our vertical agriculture project aims to enhance the sustainability with innovation. Although multiple models of vertical plant models have been done, they are often designed as a unique modulus that fits a specific space. Our candidates have researched the advantage and disadvantage of past designs from the perspectives of life expectation, climate impact, and energy efficiency. and make a revolutionary model, which is to design one piece of simple modulus that could be scaled up to any size in any space. They have created the prototype and they will use data simulation and collection to analyze and optimize the model within our campus.
Yes, so now through our project, we had encountered several challenges, particularly around the domains of the resources and talents that we had access to. We tackled these challenges by focusing on developing the potential for our students to learn and develop capabilities independently with a healthy dose of guidance from our student leaders and our community experts. So our pedagogical core is project-based, student-driven, and open-ended learning. This meant that there was a lot of freedom for students to explore areas they're interested in. And we found that motivating specific key mathematical concepts such as hypothesis testing and mathematical optimization was much more easily done with the concrete examples, which naturally lent itself through the projects that these students were conducting. Digital literacy, which comprises of reading technical literature, conducting effective research, as well as developing presentation skills, is the second part of the challenges comprising the skills that we wanted our students to develop. Engaging with what other people are doing, such as how the great mathematicians of the past engaged and argued with the contemporaries. Just think of the rivalry between Newton and Leibniz, and built on the work of giants that came before them, is a key part, we feel, of mathematical maturity. Analytic toolboxes comprise the final and key part of the skills. And unlike a century and a half ago, where almost all of mathematics had to be done via pen, paper, slide rule, and abacus, we now have a plethora of digital tools. Simulation, optimization, and various sorts of statistical and graphical analysis could be done with MATLAB. An education license was one of the advantages that the 50th anniversary grant afforded us, as well as other languages such as Python.
While overcoming these challenges in the lack of resource, we realize that we are also in the lack of talent. Besides our team, we need innovative volunteers who have connection with our students in different fields of studies, or possibly with some industrial, or I might say we need someone like you who are attending this session today, because you care about reimagining mathematics education. You might be an alumni who is studying in economic theories, psychological experiments, or engineering, mathematical modeling, simulation. Or you might be a teacher who is experienced in open-end projects, who is enthusiastic and involved in extracurriculum and interested in exploring interdisciplinary teaching and learning. Or you might be a parent who is willing to provide us some industrial perspectives in artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science. And luckily, we have found some of you. We have teachers and partners who are working on campus to give directions when we needed resource. We have 6 UWC alumni who contributed their time to our project through discussion and virtual meeting with our candidates to discuss problems that they have during the project. And I'm very grateful that we have 5 expertise who have voluntarily supported our program by advising and providing professional perspectives.
Now that we are at the tail end of our year, we wanted to showcase some of our achievements as well in the 3 areas of student growth, alumni connections, and equity and inclusion. Now, I've been talking a lot about what we think everyone is learning, and you might be skeptical. So in the following video, which was filmed last December, you can hear directly from some of our students to reflect on some of their experiences in Project Zero.
I mean, for me, what Project Zero is, it's been a big exercise in problem solving. So it's about looking at how is this problem, and then how can you overcome this to get towards a bigger goal. And personally, in terms of what this has allowed me to develop, it is that idea of, hey, we're getting stuck here, like, do we need another perspective? Do we need to look at this in another way, or do we need someone else to come in and provide like a fresh look on things?
Yeah, and all of our ideas that we had brainstormed initially were all about, enhancing and, contributing towards the well-being of our school community. And especially, I think this kind of shows our value of community and giving back to the community, and how we can use something like math, which is something we're all passionate about, to be able to, bring back. Yeah.
So one of the challenges that I faced and that we sort of overcame as a group was the sort of broad nature that we started with. This was vertical agriculture. Yes, it's specific, but it requires so much thinking. So you had to be open-minded, and you had to negotiate with other people, as well as being steadfast on a target. And setting that target and streamlining that target was what we struggled with initially. And by researching and non-stop researching, we were able to develop those skills. I think that's really important.
I would say that in the beginning we were kind of unorganized, and we didn't really have a clear focus. Like first we started out with the concussion and stuff like that. So it's kind of been difficult to manage what we're focusing on, what we're focusing our research on. And like I know personally I've had to basically restart my research as we switched up focus. So I think that's been challenging, but as of now, we're getting positive results, and we have a clear direction, focus.
I mean, if you think about it, it's we chose this topic because we each had some interest in it, or something we wanted to pursue in this. And the important thing is to try and see how do each of the things we want to pursue in this topic connect together.
Again, I want it to relate to the fundamental questions that we had in the beginning, that mathematics is an open-ended endeavor with intricate links to the outside world. We hope that you see in our students' video how they're developing not only the mathematical skills, but also skills of collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity, which are also essential to becoming a good mathematician, as well as in whatever field of study they may pursue in the future.
Another achievement that we have accounted is the solid, valuable, and productive connection between our candidates and our alumni.
These past couple of years have also reminded us of the central importance of equity and inclusion in whatever we do, especially education. And in the spirit of this goal, we decided to use mathematics to analyze our mathematical community at Uwcsea East. Just to first properly contextualize the data that you're about to see, this is only pertaining for the mathematical related extracurricular activities, of which there are currently 4 at East. CMAC Junior, which is aimed at grade 9 and 10, CMAC Senior, which is aimed at grade 10 to 12, and the Competition Maths Club, which is aimed at all high school grades, and of course, Project Zero Lab. CMAC Junior and Senior, as well as the Competition Maths Club, can be considered a traditional activity because they focus on preparing members to represent the school at various maths competitions. The difference is that CMAC and Junior and Senior are selective, which in the past has involved both a written paper and an interview during the selection process. Of course, Project Zero is also a selective activity.
In the selective CMAC activities that aims to form teams for maths competitions, the average gender percentage have become more split from junior to senior. This might indicate that the format of selective maths competition might not fit in the comfort zone for all types of learners. Although it is less split in the non-selective maths club, where students have no pressure on registering for any specific maths competition, it is still a significant gender imbalance. Before Project Zero, we were not quite sure whether it's because of the approaches of the activities are less attractive to some types of learners, or if it's the fact that some activities are more selective than the other. However, we realized that although Project Zero is a very selective activity that requires a long process of application, the approach of the program has attracted more diverse type of students.
Yes, the second chart shows a box and whisker plot of the gender distribution among our applicants and those which were successful, which is highlighted in yellow. The horizontal line in each of the box plots marks the median percentage, while the cross marks the mean. A total of 27 groups apply to us, and you can see the distribution of each group's gender composition in 1. The distribution of successful groups is displayed in 2. And in 3 and 4, you could see the overall gender composition of the applicants that applied and those who were successful. It is interesting to note that while we didn't intentionally select for gender in any part of our screening process, and this is true for all the other activities all the other mathematics activities at East. Our final groups in Project Zero, at least, were more balanced than the original applicant group.
So looking at our journey in reimagining mathematics education, what can you take away from it?
I think it emphasizes a flip model of the learning cycle. In a traditional learning cycle, the teacher is the one who is driving the learning, while now we have a student who is driving the learning process, demonstrating agency and leadership, as well as developing skills of collaboration and communication. And the teacher plays the role to give support, prompting the student to both reflect on and consolidate their learning.
My takeaway as a teacher is that this learning cycle seems to be for both sides. It will challenge our educators to make innovative application of mathematics rather than giving out one answer, and to make interdisciplinary connection rather than just math formulas, and to provide spontaneous support rather than standard unit plans.
That means the student in this process has much more freedom over what they learn. And because Project Zero is by nature an extracurricular activity meant to supplement math classes, there's much more space to explore concepts in depth without the looming worry of a terminal examination. So just to sum up, I think we started very simply from an idea, the idea that mathematics enrichment done right is a key and essential part of reimagining maths education as a whole. An idea that turned into a project that we received a grant from to explore, and one that took us on an experimental journey of the past year to where we are right now. I think this reminds me of another quote that Dr. Khanna mentioned in her interview with us, that as we reimagine mathematics, we should always go right back to how the great mathematicians of the world thought about things, as interesting puzzles to be tackled. And each of our students in our project groups were driven primarily by their intrinsic motivation to find out more about something that interested them, that challenged them, and allow them to stretch their skills in both mathematics and other areas. And I think this should be the guiding North Star of whatever type of enrichment that we see in mathematics and even other subjects that we are going to reimagine in the future.
So in the past 9 months, our experiment has reimagined mathematical education in the context of extracurricular and transformed it from the traditional one answer model into a journey of exploration. An opportunity to work in groups to present innovative projects that requires research and analysis so as to solve problems using technology.
Inspiringly, the academic programs are also reimagining mathematics by providing a new option of the Uwcsea curriculum as an alternative to IGCSE and IB. The diversity in the new curriculum also overlaps with our journey in Project Zero. Looking at the extracurricular program, there has also been an increased emphasis on innovation, such as the creation of the Innovation at East department last year, as well as the addition of the data science lead and computing lead to guide students in the coming year.
Yes, as the data science lead at East in the coming year, I am looking forward to work with our student leaders, alumni, and volunteers for another cycle of reimagining mathematical education. We are blending our activities with project-based in laboratory environments. We will have a maths lab, a data science lab, and an English lab to include more diverse type of learners. Our community of diverse mathematics team will play a more active role in organizing theme lectures, workshops, and maybe a Pi Day conference to showcase our achievement in our journey ahead.
Now, we wanted to thank you for listening to our presentation. 25 minutes is quite a long time to sit through. But if you want to join our networking session immediately after, you can ask us some more questions about our work. You can also connect with us on Instagram and at Project Zero Lab, and also explore our website at www.projectzerolab.com if you want to find out more about the projects our students are working on. You can also explore the Innovation at East website, which we are supported by at the following address. So whether you're a student like me, or you're a teacher in the audience, or just someone who's interested in education, we want to ask you the question, how do you reimagine maths education?
We invite you to come to our networking session immediately after to discuss your thoughts face to face.